We're going to talk about all the books I read in January and February. Hey guys, welcome. It's gorgeous and I kind of just want to have the window open, so like, I'm sorry if the lighting is bad. I read so many good books these past 2 months. We got a lot of 5 stars to talk about. All right, the first book I read in January was The Coworker. This is the first book of 2024 by Frida McFadden. This is kind of like this girl's coworker goes missing and she was kind of strange to begin with. So the main character is kind of wondering what's going on. Then she kind of is more being investigated for the disappearance of her coworker. So she's kind of also trying to clear her name. It was really fun. I gave it 4 stars. It was fun. It was a good way to start the new year. I then read Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. These books were stunning. So beautifully written. Oh my god. Everyone really is hyping about these. And I can see why. It's just such a good time. Oh my god, my dogs are gonna bark. No. Stop. So magical, romantic, just like beautiful writing. This duology is about Roman and Iris. You kind of follow their storyline of them kind of falling in love. They both have magical typewriters and the typewriters transpond to each other. There's also a bunch of other stuff going on. There's a war going on. There's like these gods. It's interesting. It's a good time. I highly recommend. I gave both of these 5 stars. I needed like a palate cleanser book in between that. So I read Night of the Mannequin by Stephen Graham Jones. This is a short story slasher. There's this group of friends and they intended to prank their friend who works at a movie theater by bringing in a mannequin. The mannequin ends up coming to life and slaughtering a bunch of people, so then the main character decides that he needs to save everyone from the mannequin. It goes from there. It's really fun. It was honestly really funny. Like, I thought it was hilarious. I giggled. This was just a really good palate cleanser. I gave it 5 stars. Next, I read Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This is a little YA romance thing. These 2 characters are kind of rivals in chess, and it was kind of chess heavy. I still had a really good time because it's an Ali Hazelwood book, so it was just fun. I read it in like a day. I gave it 4 stars. I'm definitely not disappointed by any of these reads. I had a good time. Next, I read The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black. I have become obsessed with reading about vampires ever since I read Twilight. And this book is just so fun. I wish it was a series. The Coldest Girl in Cold Town is kind of about a future where vampires have taken over, but the government has secluded them to these areas called cold towns. The vampires can live in the cold towns. They can just do whatever they want. It's like independent. They make the rules, but no one is allowed out of Cold Town. And so the main character goes into Cold Town and it goes from there. It's so good. She wakes up on the first page and she was at a party, but everyone is dead. Everyone around her. Obviously, it's like, oh, some vampires came around. Some vampires were at the party. So she thinks she got bit. So she decides to go into Cold Town. It's incredible. I loved this. 5 stars. 10 out of 10. Like, the last book I read in January was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I couldn't help myself when I saw that Barnes & Noble had the special edition of this book. It's in the other room. This is like rich. This is like espresso. Fine espresso. This is like fancy tea. This got a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved the characters, but you'll know that. If you've ever read a Leigh Bardugo book, you'll know that you love the characters. But this book is just exquisite. There is so much going on. I was trying to explain it to my brother at one point. The plot is so rich. It's dense. There's so much going on. There's so many plot points going on, but it's incredible. You just have to do it. It was so good. I loved this book. Ninth House is about Alex Stern, who kind of gets this scholarship to Yale, and you don't really know how she got that scholarship, but now it's kind of your classic I see dead people situations. She can see ghosts. All these magical societies that are at Yale recruit her. It's really interesting. Also, the author, Leigh Bardugo herself, went to Yale. So if you want to get into conspiracy theories, what is truth and what is fiction in this book? Because she went to Yale, you never know. So next in February, I read Hellbent. This is the special edition. I really want to know what is up with this bunny. Like, what's up with the rabbit symbolism? Because that went like whoosh over my head. But at the same time, this was an incredible sequel. I cannot wait for the potential potential third book she's gonna write at some point. These books are so good. Oh my god. These were just so good. Fine wine. I want to read them again. Okay, next I read Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I initially gave it a good review. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but I haven't thought about it since, and also it was kind of weird. I don't know what I can say, but can I say that the knot was weird? Okay, can I say that? All right, we're gonna go with it. I think that this was a great paranormal romance. Good for Ali Hazelwood for branching out from writing about STEM. This is about a vampire and a werewolf, and it's an arranged marriage situation, and there's like more that goes on, but anyways. Next I read Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. This is about a girl who moves into her dad's house because her dad just passed away, and the neighbor, who's kind of cute, little boy next door kind of trope happening, but she thinks he's a serial killer, and she's writing her PhD doctoral on true crime. It was really fun. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I just think that she could have played into the like serial killeriness of the relationship. Like it could have been better. Oh my god. I absolutely love The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. This was so good. This is about Valentine's Day, but Groundhog Day. So the main character kind of has the worst day of her life on Valentine's Day, and she just keeps living it. And then at some point, she kind of just figures out that she can do what she wants because there's no consequences. And so this book gets really, really fun. I read it in a day. It was just so fun. I loved this. I want to reread it every Valentine's Day. Okay, I read Heartless by Marissa Meyer. She signed my book. I met her. She was lovely. She's so cute. There it is. Also, funny story, I stayed up till 3 a.m. reading this book with my best friend, and then I got up for work at 6 a.m., which was an awful idea, and I will never do that again. But it was fun while it lasted, I guess. It was fun. I've never done that before. So this is a Queen of Hearts backstory, so it's really fun in that she starts out really sweet, really innocent, really naive, just wants love. She just wants to bake. She just wants to do her thing. And she has a lot of pressure from her mom to marry the king. And she doesn't want to marry the king. In fact, she's fallen in love with the court jester. It goes from there. You can walk into it, if you've seen Alice in Wonderland, knowing where it goes. You know that she's going to become evil, but this is so good. It's like really climatic. It just keeps going up, and then you're like, dang, that's crazy. It was a really fun time. I can see why everyone likes this book. It was a fun time. I gave it 4 stars. Because I've decided that my 5-star rule is more like if I'm in love with the characters and I couldn't put the book down. Like, we're rating on vibes. This was good vibes, you know? Okay, I have been reading Misery by Stephen King since October 2023, so not that long. I finally finished it. Misery is about this author who gets in a car accident and he wakes up and he's in this girl's house, and her name's Annie. And Annie's a little weirdo, and she's kind of holding him hostage. She's making him write another book, and she's kind of making him write it how she wants it done. People think it's disturbing. I mean, like, sure, there's some disturbing things that happen, but do you know what I think is disturbing? Annie was a nurse. I am in nursing school. And, okay, you have to hold yourself to a standard. If you're going to be in healthcare, and if you're going to be a nurse, I just feel like you have to be kind. And the most disturbing part of this book for me was that Annie should not have been a nurse. Annie does bad to the name. She did not deserve to be a nurse. She did not deserve to have a long career. In fact, she deserved to be in jail. That's what's disturbing. Then I read The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. I have been reading this since 2018. Yeah, I've been reading this since 2018. And I kind of don't really DNF books. I just like skim the ends if it's not vibing. And so I finally decided, I'm like, just get it over with. Just freaking read the dialogue. So I did, and it was fun. It really was. And I wish I was in a place where I could read the other 2 books because I have them. I have more to do with my time, I guess. I don't know. I wish I would have read it when I was 16, when I was a teenager, when dystopian teenage literature was in its prime. That would have been a good time. It was still fun. And I love the weight and feel of this book. Like, it's a gorgeous book. I won't lie that I'm not intrigued. Like, I would read the next few books. It's just not on my radar. Then I read First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. This, I have no idea how to pitch this because I did not get a clear plot for a while. However, I can see why this book is getting a lot of hype. It's really fun, and I have not read anything like it. I did not know what was going on the entire book. And I'm sure if you really sat down and put your brain to it, like you could figure out what's going on. But I like to be surprised, you know? Like I just like to read it and be like, wow, that is the experience I got from this book. I thought it was just really fun. It's not your average thriller. So it's a great thriller. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Also, I really liked the little side piece of romance. That was a nice touch. I loved this. I thought this was great. 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, the last book I read in February, Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. I loved this book. After reading a bunch of romance in February, I needed a good horror book, and this did it for me. This is like space horror. There's this ship called the Aurora, and it's like a cruise ship but in space. And it was supposed to be super luxurious, and there was all these rich people and influencers on board, and then the ship vanished and no one knew what happened to it. Then the main character and her little crew of like 5 people come across the Aurora and they decide to board it. And when they get on the ship, all the passengers are dead. They either committed suicide or they murdered each other. It's very graphic. They're trying to figure out what's going on. They're trying to figure out what is the correct situation, how do we deal with this? Then, you know, they're on the ship and they start seeing things like, I see you. Help. And it was just creepy, atmospheric. I loved it. I loved this. It was incredible. 5 out of 5 stars. I'm really excited for this author's new book that comes out in April. There you have it. That was all the books I read in January and February. I think that's 17 books. I really don't want to drop it. So yeah, anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.